Okay, sorry about the cutoff. This is Joseph Disaster, part 2. Like I said, rock ain't about getting an A. So, okay, so we were discussing. Sorry about that.
You're good.
So your song, the visual aspect of your songs.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is a lot of that part of the song wasn't about current stuff as much as it was about like growing up in the '80s and the whole Cold War thing. Like me and Steve talk about that all the time, like how it was a different mindset then, and everyone's scared of the Russians and stuff like that. And so it was really easy for me to write those types of lyrics, or even that that video thing that popped in my head. That thought process was an easy thought process for me to like go back to, because that was part of my childhood, and you know, uh, being afraid that that was an actual possibility. Like, what happens if they hit the missile button and the missiles come, and this is literally what we're going to be doing, is running to bomb shelters and stuff. So
Right.
it was putting that into the, like, we were just talking about this visual form, and then that was why that, even though like we said it's dark and kind of like a morbid thing, but it was facing that honest reality of what that would be like to
Right.
experience, and
Right.
so yeah.
Okay. Okay, you're a pretty prolific writer. I mean, you've written a lot of stuff. You have a lot of material. Does the writing process come naturally for you? You said most of the time with a lot of the stuff lately, it just kind of flowed. Is
Yeah.
that a big difference from before?
Yeah, I like, well, not only do I write songs, but I don't write stories so much anymore, but every once in a while I still do one. Like I wrote a kid's book I wrote 2 kids' books for my kids. I was in the middle of an actual book years ago, and then just got super writer's block and never got to finish. It was like several chapters in, and storyline was going good, and then just like, but I do a lot of like obvious like symbolism. I've always done that in my music, and because of that, normally when I'm writing something, I put a lot of thought, not just into the meaning and the words, but like how some of the things are structured. Like just real simple. I'm bad with grammar things, but just like this pronoun. I have this pronoun in there, but I'll go back and look and be like, well, because I was trying to symbolize this, I don't want to use that one. I want to use this pronoun because that has an actual deeper meaning to what I was like. Real minute things like that is kind of like how I normally write.
Right.
And every once in a while, like I'll be writing something, even if it's right off the cuff, and then hear, as I'm singing, like one little thing and be like, no, I want to, and just change the one word or something. But yeah, more recently it's just been not really having to like think things out, just picking it up and playing. And that's, like I was saying earlier, that's why it's eerie for me in a way, because it does feel like I'm singing it, because it's stuff that I feel and I believe and all this stuff, but it's almost like that internal me has done one of the the Michelangelo chapel with
subconscious
the and the 2 fingers are touching of God and Adam thing, and it's like, and they're both like meeting in this middle and channeling through each other like electricity now, and just coming out. And so it's I love it, but at the same time it's very kind of strange for me in a way too. It's something new.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, I think the more natural it can be, usually the better it turns out. Okay, so my final question is, what do you love about music?
I don't really know, actually. I've always just, it's been something that I've done for such a long time, but at the same time it's never been I kind of have this dual thing with it in a way, where it's like I don't do things because of my old school punk rock way of thinking to please somebody, or listen to this, isn't it great? Like, I don't really care if anybody likes it.
Right.
I don't care.
You just express it.
I'm just doing it, and that's,
Yeah.
I don't give a crap,
Right.
but at the same time, you know, the music that I've done for my kids, I've seen, you know, it affect them the way I always wanted it to and never knew if it was going to. Like I've seen them like they don't understand that I'm not on the radio or like on MTV and stuff. Like they really don't. Like we were actually in the I bought my oldest daughter her first album in question, you know, quotation, like an actual official album just the other day. She was down and I said, "Hey, do you have any albums?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Do you have any music? Do you own any albums?" And she's 11 and she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, what do you have?" And she said, I have your album and I have Tim Krupar's album that you gave me." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's awesome, but do you have, like, not putting me or Tim down, but do you have album? Like, do you have an album, like, that you bought, like, that's, you know, something that was important to you?" So she's like, "No." I said, "Okay, come on, we're going to the store." So we went to the store and we walked to the $5 bin, and I'm going through, and they're like, "What are we looking for?" I was like, "Oh, I'm not telling you, it's a surprise." And I'm looking through, and they're like, "What are we? Oh, is this it? Is this it?" And they're picking up like just anything, like it's like Best of Sticks or something. I'm like, "No, that's not it." They, you know, Metallica or something. "No, that's not it." They're just picking up things, and my youngest daughter all of a sudden goes, "Oh, I know what we're looking for." And the oldest one's like, "What?" And she goes, "We're looking for Daddy's music. We're looking for Daddy's album." And I said, "No, baby, it's not in here." And she said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, because I don't have my music put out, but it's in here. They don't carry it in the store. It's not." And she goes, "But you could put it in here." And I just like stopped and looked at her, and I was like, "I love the way your mind works."
Exactly.
But anyway, we looked through, and then it wasn't there, so I went and looked on the shelf, and I got her Legend Bob Marley because she liked Bob Marley and just didn't own it, and I was like, "That's a good album. I'm proud of you to own this, and I want you to own this. So here, this is your first CD," and gave it to her.
Nice.
But just seeing, you know, another story real quick was my youngest daughter says to me, she told me how the way I heard it first was, "Daddy, you know your song where it says, 'I want heroes like I knew when I was a kid,' that you told me existed, but in fact never did." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I heard it as I wrote it in my folder at school." Well, I was actually hanging out with my kids and Steve at this restaurant, and I brought it up to Steve because I was kind of like, "Hey, she said that she wrote this in her folder at school." And she goes, and you know, this girl's 8. She goes, "Oh, no, I didn't." She's like, "Well, you told me that." And she goes, "No, it was in my book, like her math book or something." I said, "You mean like on the cover or something, right? Like you had a cover on?" "No, in the book." She like wrote it in her actual school book, like inside. And I was like, "Oh, babe, like you're not supposed to write on those." She's like, "Yeah, I wrote it on there, and then they took it back." And I was like, "You're not supposed to write in those, you know. You're supposed to give them back." She goes, "But it was the first page, and there was nothing on it."
Had to be something on
Yeah,
it.
there was something. And we were like, "Well, you wrote it in like pencil or something so they could erase it, right?" You know, I'm trying to make it better, like, you know, at least they can erase it. She's like, "Well, yeah, I guess I could have wrote it in pen." I was like, no, that's not what I was telling you to do. But what I was getting at was just that even though I don't really care what someone's impression of things are, the people that I've tried to affect with my music, I found out have been like my kids originally, and then it extended to people that were dealing with the same types of stuff
Yeah,
I was,
exactly.
and like I've had proof since that people have told me, like even you right now are saying, I relate with that, and so it's kind of awesome to be on both sides of that coin. To like, I don't care what anyone thinks about this, but I'm so glad that this is actually connecting and positively affecting people in the way that I would have intended it to if somebody were to care about it,
Definitely.
So I guess that's, I guess that's my view of music, because I like talking about why, I like these interviews. I like talking about the deeper side of stuff because I have so much stuff I don't get to talk about. I feel like I talk too much when I do shows because I want to talk like this, but I don't want to sit there and talk people's ears off the whole time. But at the same time, I'm actually a pretty skittish musician where like I'm not the guy that's going to bring a guitar to the campfire. Even if you ask me 16 times, I'm not going to do it. Like I just, it's an awkward process for me, but I think that's kind of what it is. It's just about expressing that and hoping it helps others, and even if no one else cares, it's expressing me. I've always been like such a quiet person, and this is a way that I'm getting that who I am out instead of just staying
Yeah, that is what makes
behind the
music
door.
great. So what's next for you, recording wise or performing wise?
Okay, so the weirdest thing is I really had no plans of anything, to be honest, other than getting these albums out, getting them done. Because like I keep saying, I'm kind of Chinese democracying this, where it's just like, I'm honestly, there honestly are 2 albums, like Axel said. They're honestly there. Nobody believed them.
Yeah.
They're really there.
Yeah.
It's just financial stuff, and then other stuff, and then every once in a while too, I'll be like, okay, these are done, and then this other song will pop in where I'm like, that's too good and can't wait till the next album. I gotta throw this on there. So things keep making it push back. But a lot of stuff in my, from falling off the map a bit and all that stuff, like I just haven't, really pushed for doing shows or anything else. But one of the things that was kind of odd was our friends down in Scottsdale do a nerd podcast called Adult Swim for Kids, or no, not adult podcast for kids. Sorry, adult podcast for kids, and they have a nonprofit organization called Scorpion Tank Media, where they just do different events and they try to raise money, and they're trying to make it a bigger thing to raise, for different charities or different, things around the community or this or that. And they're very hell-bent now on just doing stuff with the local music. So they're talking now about doing a local compilation album. They want to do a local music concert down like in Scottsdale, and have people, from a certain extent of surrounding areas come play, and just try to keep that. And so it's kind of funny because I've been just kind of like, well, I'm trying to get these albums out, but even though I don't hate playing shows, I'm not really even paying attention to that. Like I'm good where I'm at right now. But then these guys are coming, and they're not even musicians. They're just coming out of like left field and being like, hey, we want you to do this, we want you to do this, and it's for good reasons. So it's encouraging to me, and it's something I'm going to be involved in. So it's no set dates for those things, but probably within the next year or two. I think they're trying for this year, but it might not be till next because I don't know what their plans are. But they're trying to really lay some solid things down. And
great. Well, what's the best way for people to get your music, access it?
My music is still on Bandcamp. I still have So Death Cannot Find Me on Bandcamp. There's still 4 albums, the original 4 albums on there. Like I said, when these come out, it's going to be 2 more, so there'll be 6.
Oh, so these aren't even released yet. These are just still.
These are like
progress.
right around the corner release. It's literally
Okay.
getting the money. And actually, that was the funny thing is like, I keep running and my car breaks. It's normal life things. It keeps eating up the money that I have.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was actually sitting down and kind of crunching numbers a bit, and I actually think that I'm probably actually going to have it like this month to actually officially do it. So it's probably going to be either the official is either September, or I might just for the hell of it wait a little bit to October because I'm born in October, so it might be perfect to do like a release thing. Maybe I might even try to get a release show if I do something like that.
Okay.
But I'm like pretty much 100% sure it's going to be September or October.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be those 6 albums, and then I want to start. I'm dilly-dallying around with. I have an actual analog 80s style synth now, and I want to start mixing that to maybe try to start doing a little bit of a possible another Quadriclops album. Because that's just obviously so different than my other music, and like this would kind of fit into that, the ambience of it and stuff like that. But that's not set in stone. But that's kind of like the next thing that I'm moving towards, like doing that, and then, once that's out of my system, then, if this So Death Cannot Find Me starts doing other stuff, like just expressing everything on all those routes. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. Thank you for the interview, and watch for So Death Cannot Find Me. New releases, Ghosts and Die Alone.
Mm-hmm.
And check them out on Bandcamp. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.